Madam Ulrika Hüllert, first of all, thank you very much for taking your time for giving interview to the Kitabıstan vs Disinfo initiative. At a time when press freedom is declining globally, journalists and freedom of expression face open threats. To have this conversation is very meaningful to discuss Swedish model of the press freedom and expression with you today. And I'm confident that this interview will be a valuable resource for our audience, because Sweden was the first country to enshrine press freedom in its constitution in 1766, a very progressive step for its time. And now Sweden ranks among the top 5 countries in the World Press Freedom Index. So unlike many other countries, how is that press freedom in Sweden has not just remained as a constitutional principle on a paper for 3 centuries, but has also been successfully upheld and implemented in practice?
Yes, it is a big question, because you can have a lot of different answers, because in Sweden we see that new laws is making the society more closed, but comparing to other countries, it's of course very open. So we have a very open society with a tradition that all process in the society should be open for everyone, and not just for journalists. It should be for everyone that lives in Sweden, that you could take part of decisions, or if it's like a process in different part of the societies, you should take part of the decisions. So that's a very long tradition. But of course we have small steps on that are moving wrong. And we as a union and other organizations for press freedom we are marking that, and we are discussing it, and try to get an opinion for those things. So I just had a talk last week with a journalist that he's working as a criminal with covering criminals and that field, and there are laws that will make it harder for him to contact sources or protect sources, and that's because the police wants more tools to do their job, but that is affecting journalists' work a lot. And also there's also a proposal that that more if the police is doing an investigation, it will be secretess for longer time, and that will also affect the journalism. So it is, but it's small step, but it is a really big problem, because we even if we are one of the top 5 countries in the world, I think that all of those countries is we can stay in top 5, but that is because the press freedom is like lowering everywhere. So we always need to work for it to be better, because it's not. So, but about your question, can you be what? Did you want to hear more in like a practice how it's working, or because
Yes.
it's a very
Yes.
different? In Sweden, we have a different system also from other countries, because as a single journalist, if someone published my article, I can't. I'm not responsible for it. It is the editor, and that's a big difference. And that's because as a journalist, you shouldn't be afraid of what you're writing or publishing, and so on. So that's it's a special thing in Sweden, and we don't have so many laws about what you can publish as a media. So there is in the constitution that it should be a really wide press freedom. So it's allowed to publish things that are not true, and also things that would be illegal for someone else to say, but if it's published in the media, you can say more things. So that's an important thing. And instead of having strict laws about what you can publish, we have this self-regulating system. In Sweden, it's called the media ombudsman, where if you are a person and feels like a media has published something that that's not good for you as a person, you can turn to the media ombudsman and say this is wrong, and they have a process for checking if it was right or wrong from an ethical view, not from the laws, because it's important that what the media publish should be very wide. But then the media and the newsrooms, if they take a big responsibility by themselves, that is the way for the media to avoid laws and the strict laws about how media can work. So, but a media choose if they want to be in the self-regulating system. So we have medias and papers that not are in the system, and that is the backside from our system. But we have it like that because to protect the press freedom and freedom of speech.
Swedish Journalists Association was founded in 1901, and it also functions as a trade union for journalists. In an era marked by the rapid rise of digital platforms, social media, and artificial intelligence, what are the main challenges journalists and media outlets are facing in Sweden? And what kind of work does the association do to address these challenges?
We have worked a lot with how you as a journalist can act in an ethical way and the right way in this very fast technical developing society. So, and I think it has been a lot of new technology for journalists that they really need to learn, and also both for the work and if you want to do your work. And it's all about what will be how will you get trust in a new digital world? What is, so you need to ask the same questions. How will you build trust with new technology? And also, how can you protect sources? It's a big step from the traditional newspaper or radio program. What do the audience want? And how, and what do they don't want? And that has been big steps from the even when the computers and cell phones was coming in the 80s. So it has been like big steps from when you are like, if you were out in the fields working and you were needing to have a phone, calling to the newsrooms and like reading your article. And now you can publish from your phone wherever you are. So even before social media and AI, it was big steps for, and that how you work has been changing a lot. And some some roles in the newsrooms, they are gone. But those people, it's very important. And that has been a big thing for us for like, I don't know, 30 or 40 years, that you need, that the employers need to give you education in all new tools and how you should work. So then you need education so you can still be a journalist even if the technology is changing. So that's right now, or the last 2 or 3 years, it has been a big thing with AI, of course, and we have made maybe not a policy, but a paper to help our members. What questions should they ask their the editors? Can they use is there an AI policy in the newsroom? How can we use AI? When do we need to mark it? Is this text made with help of AI? And it's because that you need a policy so that you also can have a discussion in the newsroom. What is building trust? So, but also with the authors' rights, it is a big thing with AI. Can OpenAI use a media's article to train and get that information? And when do the authors and medias get paid for what OpenAI is using? So that is a big question right now. But also, if I'm working on, it's not necessary on radio, but because also the newspaper is using audio, do I have the right to my voice? Can my newspaper radio station use my voice with an AI so they can use my voice to read news? And do I have any rights to my voice? So that is a big discussion actually right now, because we heard that it will come a new law in Denmark about AI and the right to your voice and face. So that will be, the discussion is really alive around AI. And we also have, so it is a lot of, you can use the traditional questions and ask them around AI. What will be with the sources, the trust? Do you have education for this? How can you keep your job when the work is changing? So it's going very fast. And in Sweden, it has also been a big challenge because of changing from a newspaper and getting digital, because it costs a lot of money, and of course it's global to both have the newspaper in paper and have it on the internet or on social media, and also don't really know how will the audience use those new social media or tools or platforms. So it's a lot of trying, and that costs money. So it's that is a problem, probably global, but even in Sweden, how it. So we have a lot of newspapers that doesn't exist anymore, local news media. So we also have, and that is a big thing a good thing in Sweden. We have a good support from the society with money, subsidization to local news media, and also a strong public service. Even if it's getting less money, it is still strong, and that it is a big support from the politicians. And so that's one thing that I think is really necessary to have, to have a strong local media all over the country.
Well, you have already mentioned some critical issues and their possible solutions. But from my side, I would like to touch upon other critical issues such as disinformation, information manipulation, and propaganda. These problems have taken on a more global dimension, especially since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And even World Economic Forum's report states that disinformation is one of the 5 top global risks. So how does the association work to combat disinformation and information manipulation in the country, and also how it helps to safeguard journalists and media outlets against propaganda?
It is a big discussion and also on topic here in Sweden about disinformation and propaganda. Our organization is our view on this. It's that journalism and the openness in society and debate with is the answer to disinformation and propaganda, and also a big responsibility for the platforms. We think that they should take more responsibility. So in newsrooms, there are new rules. There are verifying pictures, and so that what's published should not be wrong. Even if we also have examples that, oh, this picture was, it wasn't real. And that is, I mean, now there is, from a lot of conflicts around the world, it's hard to verify what's true and not. So that is also a big thing that a lot of newsrooms are really doing a big job, so that they really verify fact in a lot of ways, and also have those special journalists that could be experts on that. But of course, everyone that works with news or other journalists need to know this. So that's also connected to the AI. What do you need to know as a journalist, and education in also how can you how someone that wants to spread propaganda uses AI. So that is closely connected to how what journalists need to work with and do. So that is what we do. I think one hard question about this is that we don't think that we think it will be a problem for the freedom of speech to have laws that forbids propaganda. And we have had a discussion in Sweden about when Russia Today can they send their news in Sweden or not? And we have been against regulations that forbids them to send here because of the freedom of speech, because we don't know in a couple of years if traditional media opens the door that we don't want to open, and that we think that propaganda is best, that the society and the people in the country are can also listen to traditional media and what they say, and that you should also be a better journalist and say, okay, this is happening, we think this is propaganda, and in that way handle it. But it's not an easy question. It is because it's so the resources the countries or states have that uses propaganda is so big, so it's hard to it's hard to protect yourself or the society for it.
But since we are talking about disinformation and propaganda, it's also important to talk about media literacy. What efforts are being made in Sweden to promote media literacy in a society?
In what way? We have...
For example, as an association, do you have any trainings, webinars, or kind of any informative info sessions, for example, regarding the media literacy?
Yeah, as a union?
Yeah.
We, as a union, we have trainings for our freelance journalists, but there is a lot of trainings for journalists because of we are arranging in cooperation with others organizations, so that you can get small scholarships for the training, and we also have from the society paid training for journalists. It's called For You. They are making a lot of training, and they have also had training. So, and in our collective agreements, we have a very good thing that you could go on those trainings at For You on full paid working time, and your employer can't say, they need to say yes if you want to go on a training. So it's so maybe it's another system here. So we are supporting in different ways training, and so it has been. So it's a lot of journalists has been on training on those things, and they had. For, I don't know if they have it right now, but for a couple of years ago, it was a special training on just disinformation and how you could, what you need to know as a journalist if you want to cover this field, or so you will be more protected against propaganda and don't just get fooled. And we also have, we have a members newspaper in our organization, and they are I don't decide what they should write, but they have also, of course, been covering this field a lot. So we are financing the paper. So when there are important topics like this and it's going on, it will reach almost all our members. In school, all children need to learn about how you could protect yourself and how you can trust media. So it's like, it's not a small thing in Sweden, even if it's, we know that propaganda works, and it's really hard as just one person to know what is propaganda and not if you're out on social media.
Well, within the association, you also have professional ethics committee. How does this committee monitor the spread of fake news and disinformation within media outlets in Sweden? And in case of violations of professional ethics, what kind of actions or measures are taken in response?
Right now, they have they are working with in two ways. They should initiate debates and discussions and give advice in ethical topics. If you are a member, we have an expert working that you can just call and say, I have this dilemma, or I don't know how to think about this, or I need help. My editor says I should do this, but I think it's unethical. What shall I do? So we have this support that you, as a member, can also get help with discussing this. But then it's also a possibility for everyone that you can write to the committee and say, this journalist made, he or she break the ethical rules, because we have ethical rules in our union that every member says that if you are a member, I need to follow those ethical rules. And to build trust about that, you can contact the committee and say, this journalist is not following the ethical rules. But right now, actually, since Mars, we are having a project that we will look over if this is the best way to work with ethics, because it has been a discussion if it's the journalist or is it the newsroom or the editor that are responsible if you are doing something as a journalist. So we are right now. You can contact the committee, but they can't announce that yes, someone did wrong. It's like a pause in that work, but they are working with the other things and have this spring started a network. So if you are a journalist in our union, you can say, I want to be in the network, and then be more into more discussions. And I think that they will have seminars about interested topics or what you need to discuss.
We often hear from media professionals that democracies cannot exist without independent media. And unfortunately, currently we are witnessing decline in democracies, which goes hand in hand with the deterioration of the press freedom. For example, authoritarian regimes exert total control over information. How do you think how we can protect and defend freedom of press in such context?
I think that it's hard to say what comes first. This is democracy or press freedom. I think that they both are good for each other, or like press freedom is a part of democracy. But of course, journalists are working, even if it's hard, in countries that there is not democracy or less democracy, and it's hard. So it could be illegal to work as a journalist, but even if it is, some very brave people do it, even if it's not allowed, but you take a big risk. It is. So I don't know really what to answer. So I mean, I see that it's and it's a lot of things that makes a democracy, and press freedom is one thing, and the press freedom is also yes, they are like a communicating with each other. So it's also how democracy is also about the constitution. Are you taking how are your view on minorities, and do you have courts that are independent and so on? It's connected, but of course it can be a media even if it's not democracy, but it's really hard and it's a big risk and it could be illegal.
Well, in my previous interview with Secretary General of Norwegian Press Association, Ellen Hagen stated that gender discriminatory narratives are not present in the Norwegian press. And frankly speaking, I was positively surprised to hear that. I wanted to ask, are there gender discriminatory narratives or gender-based hate speech in the Swedish media? And if so, what kind of activities you are doing as the association to combat this critical issue?
Of course, there is discrimination because it is discrimination in the society, but it's also relative because comparing to a lot of other countries, it's much better. We have 50-50. It's like the same both men and women are working as a journalist. We have laws and regulations that should protect you as a woman, and also other and also minorities in the newsrooms. But you have those regulations. It's not because they are not needed; they are. But when we are comparing the salaries between men and women, it's no difference on if you see the whole picture. But of course, we have there is of course problems. So and I don't think that it's not a problem in Norway, but it's not a big problem in the Nordics. But of course it is. We had Me Too. It was a really big thing in Sweden, and we had a lot of cases in the media during Me Too that was really, really problematic, and that put light on a problem that a lot of people have not been seeing, even if it was there. So it has been better after Me Too. It was around 2017. But it was really needed. We have absolutely have problems, but it's not the biggest question that we're working with now, because it was a lot of things happening during and after Me Too, and a lot of those who are responsible and also colleagues is better educated. So the problem is you can talk about it and you can work with it, but I think it's important to do that, because everywhere where you put people together, it can be problems in different ways. And the hate speech, we are together with some of the universities in Sweden. We are doing research about how is it right now, and I don't have any how it has been this year, so it's like 2 or 3 years old. But it's a difference if you are a woman or a man, how the hate speech is. So if you're a woman, you are getting more violent hate speech connected to your sex. So it's more so it's a different hate speeches, but it's this women and men are getting the same. So the last research, then it was like 30% had got hate speech the last year, and men and women almost the same, but women get more sexualized hate speech. I don't remember the numbers, but yeah. But if you see also young people or people that are not born in Sweden, they are their health is getting are worse than others. So you can also so that is it is a problem if you are self-censoring yourself because you want to avoid hate speech. Then women does that in a higher case than men, if I remember it right. So and that is so now we have a big discussion about self-censorship or self-censoring and how hate speech, how it will affecting the journalism.
As a trade union of journalists in Sweden, you also work to promote better living conditions and improved work opportunities for journalists. You have already briefly mentioned collective agreements, but can you give more detail about collective agreements?
I think that we have around 80% of all the journalists are members in our union. So, and it is like, I think in Sweden we have between 60 and 70% of all employees that are members in the union. So, and the tradition that we have, in Sweden it's called the Swedish model. So probably in Denmark and Norway it's also their model, that we are negotiating with the employers in a lot of questions. So we have also, and that is the thing, that the politicians, they are not deciding anything about salaries and so on. It's up to us as a union to negotiate about it in the collective agreements, and also a lot of other things. So we have laws about a lot of things, of course, but you can change it in the collective agreements, how it will fit the just how it works in the media or in another branch. So we have, it's a system that is very well working, and it's also working because we have a lot of members, and all in the media. Not all companies are having a collective agreement, but almost everyone. So it's for journalists, it's a very common thing that you have a collective agreement with everything from insurances to salary, for how late you can work at night, how much you will get paid if you work late, when you can, how many nights per month you can work. And it's also about, if you want to quit the job, what is the rules, and how much pension will you get. So it's a very big, it's a lot in these agreements. And it's because that we think that if you are a journalist or have another job in the society, you shouldn't think about, you shouldn't need to think about everything. You can just feel like, oh, the union is taking care of that. So you don't need to think about all that. And that is, rules for a lot of situations in how you should work.
Well, my last question is Kitabistan's tradition question. We always ask book recommendations. What book would you like to recommend our readers and viewers to read?
Oh, I should have prepared some kind of a good answer. In Sweden, if we have a lot of people that are discussing democracy and wants to have new views of how it's working and what's happening with the democracy, is reading Timothy Snyder. One of his books about democracy, I think I really want to recommend, because it's very useful when you see even if a strong democracy as in Sweden, if laws are changing at the wrong, so then it's very useful, and it's of course very useful in countries where it's much worse.
Thank you very much. This is one of my most favorite book, actually, that you recommended. Yes, and thank you very much for this insightful interview.
Yes, and thank you, and good luck with everything that you do.